Good morning, boys and girls. So we are going to get right into our ELA lesson for today. So what I would like for you to do, I need you to come up and take a seat on the carpet here, and then I will know you're ready to learn when your eyes are on me and your voice is at a level 0. Okay? So today we're going to be talking about a very important skill that all great readers use when they are reading. Are you ready for it? Inferencing. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of that term. Inferencing. A couple of you have heard of it. Okay. What we're going to do today is behind me, I have 2 posters. This poster we're going to get to in just a minute, so I'm going to leave it face down right now. And I have a smaller poster. On my small poster, I have a picture. So we're going to do a really fun activity before we get into the lesson. So, what I need you to do, I need you to listen carefully to the directions, okay? What I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this picture over. When I flip the picture over, I want you to look at it for a few seconds, and then I need volunteers to raise their hand and tell me what you see in this picture. Okay? So you ready? Remember, I need you to raise your hands to tell me. Okay, what do you see in our picture? You see animals. What kind of animals are those? They're ducks. They're little baby ducklings. Aren't they so cute? So we have ducks. What about our ducks? Are they the same? No, they're not the same. They're different. What's different about our ducks? Very good. We have some black ducks up here, and then we have a yellow duck down here. What do you think our black ducks are standing on? What do you think that is? Maybe a rock? It could be a ledge. Very good. Where do you think our ducks are? Maybe in a park? Maybe. What about him? Why isn't our yellow duck up there with the black ducks? Maybe he's trying to get up there. Well, we're going to talk about that. So, we just talked about what is in our picture. Now, what do you want to know? What is a question that you would ask if this was a story in a book and the author could tell us all of the answers of what's going on? What are some questions? What are you wondering about this picture? I have a question. I want to know, why is our poor little yellow duck, why is he not up there with the black ducks? I want to know what happened. What's a question you have? Why are the black ducks on the wall? That's a great question. Maybe they're going somewhere. Did the yellow duck get left behind? That's also a great question. So we just talked about clues. We talked about what we can see. We talked about questions that we want to know, we want answers to. But again, this is not a story, this is just a picture, so we aren't going to be told what's happening. So if you had to make an educated guess using those clues, what you can see, and to answer your questions, what would be an educated guess? What do you think is happening right now in this picture? You think maybe the yellow duck is feeling kind of lonely, right? Maybe, because he's not up there with the other ducks, so he's maybe feeling lonely. What else? Let's take one more educated guess. Oh, maybe the yellow one was left out because he's different, but we don't know. Those were all great educated guesses. And that skill that you all just used, that was making an inference. So what is an inference? An inference is an educated guess or an idea. So just like we did, we used our clues of what we could see, and based on what questions we had about the picture, we made an inference or an educated guess. We had ideas. And how did we make an inference? Well, we did that by asking questions, of course, and then we also used the clues, again, what we could see, and then we used our own experiences, right? When we thought about how that little yellow duck might feel, right? If everyone's over there doing something and you're right there alone, you can't get over to them, you might feel lonely, right? So we use our own experiences too to make an inference. Great work, everyone. So now we are going to get into a story. So we're actually going to apply this skill that we are talking about, inferencing. Well, today, what we're going to do when we're reading this story is I'm going to teach you how we can fully understand our book or what we're reading, again, by making an inference or helping to make an inference by using the clues that the author provides us in the story. So the Junkyard Wonders. The Junkyard Wonders is by Patricia Palago. She's one of my favorite authors. And before I start reading this, though, I want to come up with some questions that you might have. So I have this. So I have the Junkyard Wonders. So there is our title. What are some questions that you have? Just by looking at our front cover. Who is the little girl? Very good. So what we're going to do, we're going to fill this out. We're going to come up with some questions that we have. As we're reading, we're going to make an inference, and then we're going to see if we actually get the answer to our story, or answer in our story. So, who is the little girl? Ooh, what is her name? That's a great question. Let's come up with at least 2 more questions. So 2 more questions about our book. Again, here is our front cover. What do you think? What is a junkyard wonder? That is a great question. That's the title. So what is a junkyard wonder? Let's come up with 1 more question. 1 more question. Why is there an airplane? Oh, does everyone see that? There's an airplane right here. Why is there an airplane? So why is there an airplane? All right, boys and girls. So we have 3 questions to start us off here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to read to you. So as I'm reading, we're going to try to fill this in. So, again, the title of our story is The Junkyard Wonders by Patricia Palago. It was the end of summer. The katydids were still buzzing when I finally summoned up the courage to ask my dad if I could stay with him and Grandma for the school year instead of going back to California to be with Mom like always. Your mother would miss you, Tricia, but I will talk to her, Dad said. I had a reason for staying, a good reason. So we found out the little girl's name on that page, didn't we? What is her name? Tricia, we already found that out. So who do you think Tricia might be? What's an inference that we can maybe make? Ooh, she might be our main character, right? Now something I want to point out too. Inferences can be wrong. They are not always right. So the answer, what was her name? Tricia. So her name is Tricia. Okay. So we already got our first question answered. Let's keep reading. My heart sang as I walked to school with all the kids on my grandma's block on the first day of school. My mother and father had decided that I could stay, just for 1 year, there with my father and grandma in Michigan. In my old school in California, the kids all knew that I had just learned to read. Everyone knew that I was always in special classes. Here, no one would know. No one would tease me, and I already had a new friend, Kay. But when I got to the front steps of the school, all of the neighborhood kids ran off to their classes, and when I saw Kay and waved, she didn't wave back. I just stood there not knowing where to go. And when I showed 2 girls my class card, they got funny looks on their faces. You're in Mrs. Peterson's class, they said. Upstairs, room 206. Okay, so let's talk about that. So how did Tricia feel on the first day of school here at her new school? Because she's only allowed to stay for 1 year. Right, she felt happy. She was excited because no one knew her there, so she was going to get a fresh start. But what happened when she waved to Kay? Kay didn't wave back, so now she's not feeling so good, right? What kind of an inference do you think we can make based upon how the girls, what did the girls do? They made a funny face, right? When Tricia asked where her classroom was. So what do you think? What's an inference we could make about, what do you think about the classroom that Tricia might be in? Ooh, maybe the teacher might be mean. That was a great one. Room 206. I found it. In the classroom, a gawky boy I'd never seen before yelled out, "Hey, the name's Tom. Not spelled T-O-M, but T-H-O-M. Sit here, next to me." He had huge, dark-rimmed glasses that magnified his eyes. I sat down and looked around. Everyone seemed really different in one way or another. I couldn't put my finger on it. Suddenly, everyone snapped to attention. Our teacher was standing in the doorway, short and stout. She seemed a little scary, but her eyes were friendly. I was sure of that. She walked up to the podium at the front of the room and slammed an enormous dictionary on top of it. Then she adjusted her glasses, and without saying hello or how are you, she started reading in this no-nonsense voice. "The definition of genius," she began. "Genius is neither learned nor acquired. It is knowing without experience. It is risking without fear of failure. It is perception without touch. It is understanding without research. It is certainty without proof. It is ability without practice. It is invention without limitations. It is imagination without boundaries. It is creativity without constraints. It is extraordinary intelligence." Then she took a deep breath and slammed the book shut so hard. "Welcome to the junkyard. I am your teacher, Mrs. Peterson." She started walking around the room looking at each of us. "I want you all to write the definition on the blackboard. Post it on your mirrors. Look at it every day. Memorize it. The definition describes every one of you." So, we got another one of our answers, didn't we? So, what did she say? What is the junkyard? What do you think the junkyard is? Could be the classroom. So that could be, I'm going to say our inference is that it's Trisha's classroom. So answers from the story, we're going to say Trisha's class. Great work, everybody.